here with maritimegardening.com, and it's a cold day here in the middle of April, Nova Scotia. 0 degrees Celsius when I woke up this morning, which is why I like to use these little sort of domes in my garden. I've got them all over the place in the garden this time of year, just to make the most of whatever sunlight and heat there is to be found. It's like a little temporary greenhouse, right? And I've had different videos on how I make these, and this is sort of new design I came up with this year, so I thought I would walk you through how I put it together. I think it's got some improvements on previous designs. Usually I just slap these things together. This is one I sort of tinkered with over the winter months sort of thing. Tried to make it extra nice and solve little problems that I identified with the different ones I've had over the years. So let me bring in a little closer, and hopefully it's not too windy here. I can shoot this video. So the big, number one, the big change over this dome, hoop house, and my other ones is I use this plastic material. I can't remember what this is called. I'll try to look it up. Normally I use what's called concrete wire remesh. A lot of people ask me, where do you find that stuff? You go to the hardware store and you find where they keep all the hardware stuff, or the concrete working stuff is, the cement working stuff, and it's usually there. And actually I found this right next to the concrete wire remesh, but it's, I don't know, PVC or ABS or something like that. One of the problems with using concrete wire remesh is that it's it kind of pokes, and you put the 6mm poly plastic over these, it tends to poke through and make little holes. This it's got two sides, and this one side is very smooth. So I thought, you know, especially when you've got winter months and snow and ice and all that sort of stuff pushing down on the plastic, pushing it into the mesh, I thought probably get a couple more years out of the plastic using this. Assuming this can stand up to UV, I really don't know. And this costs more than concrete wire remesh. You can get concrete wire remesh for, I don't know, 12, 15 bucks. This was like $35, just this one piece, 4x8 sheet. So definitely not as cheap. One good thing about this though is that it's black. So when you have a cold night and the entire plastic gets frosted over, the morning sun will be, will heat this black up and melt the thing. So I think there's an advantage. I think on light snows and stuff like that, I probably won't have to come out and you know, sweep this off with the broom. The black should gather enough heat to just be like a self-melting dome. So that's one difference. Number two is that I put a ridge. My other ones, I just use their own stiffness. When I put this thing up, I found it a bit flimsy, and even the concrete wire remesh, you get a lot of snow and ice on them. They can bend. Some of mine are bent out of shape from, there's some kind of snow here in Nova Scotia. We'll get like rain, snow, or rain, ice. It sticks to the plastic and it puts a lot of weight and bends the things all out of pieces. So I thought, but just by using a 1x3, I just slotted it in like this and stepped it in down there. Now these, you know, I'm getting a little slightly fancy here, but anyway, that way, and I put a little post in the middle just to hold that up, right? So I figured that would give it a bit more strength and rigidity. It only took an extra like half an hour to rig that all up, so really not a big deal when you consider one of these should last you about 5 years before it needs any really major overhauls. Another difference is that I treated the wood so it'll last a little bit longer. I mean, some people are going, aren't you worried about chemicals leaching into the soil and so on and so forth? Not really. I mean, I just used linseed oil and turpentine and a little bit of black paint. That's just what I got kicking around. This is not going to be in the soil mixed into it. It's going to be sitting on top of the mulch for a limited amount of time, a month or two, and then it's off the garden, right? These are only really in use for a couple months a year. Sometimes I'll put them one or two, leave them on all winter. But the only way any sort of chemical that's in this wood can get into the soil is if the wood and the chemicals itself get broken down and eaten down by the soil organisms. If I stick one of these on my carrot garden in November to keep it from thawing out so I can harvest carrots all winter, it's not going to be breaking down during the winter. It's just too cold. Those organisms aren't going to be active. Another thing here, you can hear the wind chime. It's very windy today, so I apologize for that. I guess I should have taken that down. I find it pleasant, but I can see how it'd be distracting in a YouTube video. Another change, oh, and this here, I had to pre-drill these, but I put a screw in every so often just to hold it true to the center, right? Another change on the corners. This is just some sheet metal I had kicking around. So I cut pieces of sheet metal. So, I mean, I've got these, I guess you'd call that toe-nailed. So I've got a 3-inch screw going right across the whole distance, 2 of them, to hold the corner together. But then I tacked this tin or metal in sheet metal, relatively thin stuff. I didn't have to drill it or anything. This is just a roofing nail, just hammered it right through. So I've got one on this side and I've got one on the opposite side for every corner, because the corners are where they can start to give up. Even here in the middle, I tacked one on like this, all right? Because, you know, you screw it in like this, it's screwed in with the grain, the middle part can come out sometimes. And you notice the middle there isn't lumber, that's just a tree from the backyard that because I realized I didn't have enough lumber to do it, so I just used a sort of dead standing small spruce tree and just hewed it into shape, perfectly fine, perfectly functional, right? So that's the general, the idea. The reason I got a little wire here is because I didn't want to screw into the end here. I thought it would split, so I just didn't screw this in here, but I want it to be attached a little bit, so I put this wire here. Right, that's it. Well, that's the general idea. I think I should get a few good years out of it. These are just screwed on here, right? These have these nice holes every, I don't know, 6 inches or so, so they're sort of ideal. Oh, missed a screw, missed one, missed a spot, but anyway, so they're sort of ideal, right? So it doesn't weigh any more than the other ones. I mean, I'm giving up metal for plastic, so losing a little bit of weight there. But, you know, I'd say this probably weighs, let me see here, maybe 30 pounds, maybe something like that. Less than a canoe anyway. Easy enough for one person to move around, a person of reasonably fit and reasonable shape. Now all I got to do is put stretch the plastic over that, but that's all that's left to do with this, and then I can get it on the garden and hopefully get some things germinating. Anyway, I thought I'd just share that with you, the sort of new and improved design, hoop house 0.2 or 0.3. I mean, it's just the nature of iterative processes like these. You know, you come up with an idea of something in your mind, you make it, and you see how it works, and you make little changes in the next one, and the next one, and the next one, right? So, you know, if I was to give anybody advice for any sort of creative process, the main thing is to just go there and do it, right? Go there, make your thing, make your first one. It's probably not going to be your best. Get over it, right? Your next one will be better. The one after that will be better. The one after that will be better. Once you've done 5 or 6 or 7 or 10, people will look at your work and say, wow, you're so creative. You're so good with your hands. Oh boy, you wouldn't want them to see the first one you did. They wouldn't have thought that, right? But that's the process. It's learning, right? Especially when you're learning through trial and error. It's not like they teach you how to make these in grade 8, shop class, right? You just figure it out. So, I hope you found that interesting. If you did, please like, share, subscribe. Check out my podcast, maritimegardening.com. And until next time, get out there, get at it, have fun in your garden. Thanks for watching.